Spencer is here for InsideTrackNews.com and the APC United Late Model Series. I'm here, my initial appearance here at the Shaw Motorsports shop out here in Guelph with my man Dale Shaw, 2014 Flamboro Speedway Late Model Track Champion. And Dale, you've really, you're amongst the elite in the Pro Late Model division now, and it really hasn't taken a lot of time. 3 seasons? Yep. 3 full-time seasons? I mean, did you have any idea when you moved into these cars, I'll sort of pan out and get a look at the ride right now, when you moved into this division, did you have any idea that you would experience the success that you have in such a short amount of time?
Well, I got really good people helping me. That's the big thing between my dad with his 25 years of experience in racing, and just the people helping you has been the big thing for me. And it's been a big learning curve. Well, we were just talking about going over the fence and a lot of wrecked race cars, but we've soldiered on, and this year was honestly, I was hoping to maybe win a race, and it was just what we accomplished this year was pretty cool.
Now, you and I, we've spoken a few times about going through the fence. I haven't got it on camera yet, though. So it was yourself and Steve Laking a couple summers ago. You ended up going through the fence of Flamboro. Tell me a little, I mean, what happened, and what's it like when you're strapped into the seat of one of these race cars and you're flying through the air?
Well, we'll start from the beginning. I think it was the second or third last race of the year. It was Memorial Night, and Steve Lakin really wanted that race really bad, and so did I, just because of the history behind that race and the people's names that are on the trophy and get honored at the banquet and stuff. So I think we started pole that night, and we led all the laps. It was a 30-lap feature, and we got to lap 26, and my car was starting to go away a little bit, and he was right on my bumper, and he gave me a couple taps. And then I think we were coming to 2 to go, and we came off turn 2, and he gave me a little tap. I got loose. I caught it, and then he was kind of loose at the same time, and we hit each other, and then we hit each other again, and then we went up, and he rode the wall, and I went over the wall. And we went up and down, then down the other side into the pits in turn 3, and then we ended up wedged underneath this truck. Which is poetic justice, and I love Steve Laking. Steve's a great buddy of mine, but the dude that you end up getting into on the racetrack is the truck that you end up hitting in the pit area. Now, was there any damage done to the Laking hauler? No, but there's more to the story. We ended up just kind of wedged underneath it. It wasn't bad. I didn't even know if anything was scraped or anything, but obviously the other part to the story was Nancy, Steve's better half, she was standing at the fence with Bev Thring, and when I went under the fence whiplashed, and Nancy actually fell down. So, yeah, it gets worse. So, she was a little dinged up, and I think she chipped a tooth and maybe had a bit of a sore arm. But, so the cops were called, and the ambulance came for Nancy. And when the cops showed up, they have to file a police report. So we filed the police report. So they walked up to me, and they got my name and got my driver's license out. Then they asked for the insurance on the vehicle and the ownership. Well, there's no insurance or ownership. It's a race car. All right, so can we have the VIN number, please? It's a race car. There's no VIN number. So that's fine and dandy, and they want license plate numbers and this and that, and it's a race car. They couldn't quite get that figured out. So that's fine and dandy. We sat in the cop car for a while and got it figured out. And my grandma still has a police report and my racing scrapbook. But yeah, it was an eventful night for sure.
Now you mentioned off camera that you were worried that you had run over the Laking family dog. Why did you think that you had killed the dog?
Obviously our families are really close, and Steve and Nancy are really cool people, and we're somewhat relatives if you look far enough, cousin or whatever.
I think the Shaws are relatives of pretty much everybody.
Yeah, pretty much. But they have a little dog, and actually they still have the dog, and it was always tied up beside the truck facing the racetrack, so Nancy could watch the race and keep an eye on the dog. Well, that night it must have been a little cold, so they put the dog inside the truck instead, and I actually ended up right where the dog normally sits. The scariest part, though, about the whole deal was when you kind of came to your, this is where I am, I'm sitting on grass now, whatever. You hear people straight yelling, "Is there anybody under the car?" That's the scary part. Honestly, it wakes you up and you're ready to get out and just run, and it scares the bejesus out of you.
I mean, I know when Carl Edwards went up into the fence, he said, the first thing I did, I checked to make sure I didn't have anything sticking in me. Did you have that moment where you're sort of making sure that everything's where it's supposed to be?
Honestly, I was good until I got out of the car and I got out and I was standing on grass, and then I went, "Wow, like what just happened? Like how did I end up here?" And no, like I was okay. I wasn't even sore, didn't feel a thing, didn't have a bruise and nothing. Just I'm glad everybody was okay, and just glad nothing was tore up too.
Now, was that a first for Shaw Motorsports? I don't ever remember hearing a story about Jake going through the fence. Did that happen?
Flamboro Speedway hobby car. Actually, I heard Charlie Beck. It was back in I can't remember the year. I think it would have been the early 90s. And coming off turn 4 at Flamboro, he hooked a wheel, went over a wheel, and ended up upside down on the racetrack side of the fence, but in the grass, kind of between the wall and the fence at Flamboro. But he went over on his route, but I went over and through the fence.
See, so you topped that 100%. That's how you wreck like a boss, right? You go through the fence.
And the cool part was the Casellis. Frank made up a trophy for me. He didn't give it to me a year later because he didn't want to piss me off, but it was a trophy, and instead of just like the car, they took the cup part of the trophy off and put a bunch of fence on it, and the car was sitting through the fence on the trophy, so that was pretty cool. I wish I actually had it to show you, but...
And you mentioned that you didn't even have to replace a body panel on that car.
Nope, that thing was just fine. Nose was a little crinkled, but we put a new valence on it. The oil pan had a ding in it, and 2 lower control arms and 1 upper. That was all that was wrong with it.
That is wild.
Yeah.
Now, which is a great segue into 2014, because that's another year that you didn't have to replace a body panel. I mean, you guys had, really and truly 2014 was your coming out party. It was you sort of, establishing yourself as a threat to win every single night. Let's start with the APC six-pack series, because you rolled into Delaware as a huge underdog. I don't think anyone thought that, I think staying on the lead lap would be a victory there for you guys, considering you'd never raced there before.
Staying on 4 wheels would have been a victory.
There you go, exactly. And I mean, you ended up surprising the hell out of everybody. Every time you touched down at Delaware, you seemed to have a good run going. I mean, was that just, it's just the style of the track just came to you?
Well, to go into the Shaw history, and I don't think I ever remember my dad finishing a race in Delaware. It was like, oh, we had to go to Delaware this week. Like, what are we going to fix this week? But we showed up there. My buddy Steven, who had been spotting for me for the last couple of years, he'd spotted for Tyler Hendricks a couple times. He had a little bit of info for me,
and shout outs to Steven Simmons, who is one of the best young spotters in the game. That dude is talented as hell.
Yeah, he does a lot for me. It's pretty cool. He's rather long, 24 races last year. But we showed up, went up for practice, and I think it took probably about 6 or 8 laps. And we were right there with like Cox and Watts and stuff like that. And I remember we were going up for qualifying, and I was one of the first guys to go out. And I said to my dad, I said, like, I have no idea what to expect here. And he goes, neither do I. So we went up for qualifying, and I remember you pull in the back straightaway and you line up for attack. And I got out, and I said, how did I do, guys? And they said, I don't know. We couldn't hear it. And then the interview guy walks over to me, and he goes, well, how'd you do? I said, I don't know. And he goes, how did I do? And he grabs his little radio, he goes, you qualified second. And I went, and I got into the car, and everybody's just laughing, and we were having a good time, and that was amazing, because I had no idea what I was doing. And we were only, I think it was like half a tenth off of Jamie Cox, so it was pretty cool.
It's phenomenal. I mean, it really turned a lot of heads, and then you sort of kept that momentum going at home at Flamboro. I mean, you've always been good at Flamboro. You've really been sort of the face of the youth movement at Flamboro yourself, and Jake Ott, and now Nick Roth, who's a little bit older, but he's part of that as well, the young guys that are sort of establishing themselves in this division. To win the championship this year, I mean, with all the history that your team, your family has at Flamboro, it's just got to be this surreal feeling for you guys.
There's a couple of things. The other day I was talking to Sean Chenoweth, and he mentioned to me about me and him might have been the only ones with a father-son combination on the trophy, and it was, which was pretty cool. But like, I was going through the names like Rob Monday, Paul House, Chenoweth, both Bob and Sean. My dad's on there, I think 4 times. David Elliott. Going back to names that I'd never even heard of, which is, I've been around my whole life, which is pretty cool. But the worst part about it is I like to say Flamboro is my worst racetrack. Like, I love going, Flamboro Speedway is my favorite. I enjoy Sunset. Peterborough is a blast. Delaware is probably my new favorite, because although Delaware, the problem with Delaware was we had our 2 DNFs there, which kind of killed us this year with a broken tranny and a bit of a lug nut issue. But
and both those DNFs came in the middle of what was going to be, a real solid finish.
The last race of the year, the Great Canadian, we were right up there with Watson that night, and we were allowed to change tires. And I thought we had the pit strategy part, and I'm going through my head and everything, and we're coming in, and that sucked. We had a shot at that one. We had a big shot at that one.
Now, I mean, to grow up as the son of one of the greatest Flamboro Speedway drivers of all time, one of the greatest late model drivers in Ontario history. I mean, his name, Jason Shaw's name, just rings out every shop you go to, whether you're talking about All-Star or the Autumn Colors Classic, Flamboro Speedway. It's just one of the best. To be able to follow in his footsteps and carve out your own name for yourself. I mean, you're no longer just Jason's son. You're not Ron's grandson. You're Dale Shaw. You're standing on your own 2 feet. How does that feel, to be able to sort of step out of your dad's shadow?
Well, there's one thing that's kind of always pushed me is My bedroom is downstairs in this house, and I'll show you guys later. But my bedroom, half of my room is my old man's trophies that he's won his whole life, and we'll get some pictures uploaded of it. But there's more trophies there than like any trophies I've ever seen in one place in my life. So that just keeps pushing it. Yeah, it is cool just kind of working your own name, but again, like I go with respect. Like my dad, my grandpa have done a lot for racing. My uncle, my cousins, you know. And to go out there and try and earn my own name and try and do it my way, and it means a lot to me that I can earn my own name, and I don't have. It's just cool walking in a racetrack and not being called Jason Shaw. That's pretty cool to me.
And I mean, to be able to go up and down the road with Jason Shaw, I'm sure is an opportunity that a lot of race car drivers would kill for, to be able to pick this dude's brain and see, you know, his view on things, hear his stories. I mean, I can only imagine it must be like a class session every time you're in the truck with him going to a speedway.
Between Belly and my dad and Scott, there's always a story. I remember them telling me a story about somebody's race car fell off a trailer going down the highway and stuff like that. And then my dad was running street stocks at Varney, and they decided to, in the second feature, they made him go around backwards. And my dad won both features that night, which was pretty cool. And just the big thing is the information. Like, I have gear charts of what my dad ran back in the 80s at all these racetracks. So when we went to Varney or Delaware, we knew what gear close to what we needed. So the information is huge, and the stories are a lot of fun too.
And it's a bummer to not be able to. I know Jason's not here today. I was hoping to get him on camera. He's kind of shy. I've been wanting to get him on bench racing for years, and I haven't been able to do it yet. I'll keep working because I'd love to interview him. But what's his thoughts? The fact that he's been able to, he sort of stepped out of the limelight now. He's not doing the driving thing anymore. He's just full-time crew chief for your ride. I mean, is that his new passion? Does he sort of, that's what he loves to do now?
I hear it 5 times a week. Is he starting again? But honestly, I'm not going to stop him from racing, obviously. We had a lot of fun racing against each other, and I'm proud to say I could do that for 2 years. But he said this year was the most fun he's had in a long time, probably since he quit drinking. So, no, we had a blast this year, and we could do a lot of racing, and to go to a one-car team and to be able to put all of our kind of, you know, put everything into one race car. It showed 6 victories this year and all the top 3s we had, and I think he enjoyed it.
And I mean, I don't think I've interviewed a guy or interviewed a dad on camera or talked to one off camera that hasn't told me the same thing, that they enjoy seeing their kid race. I had Kirk Hooker on the phone earlier this week for a half an hour telling me the exact same thing, that's what he enjoys doing. He wants to watch Jake race.
That guy is awesome. I remember we were going up to, I think we were racing in Delaware or something. We went up, stayed at their place, and went to the golf course and stuff like that. That family is unbelievable. And Jake Hooker is going to be a hell of a race car driver. He's
a blue chip prospect, man. I mean, I think eventually the plan is to get him over on asphalt. He's ripping up the dirt right now at South Buxton, though.
I heard a rumor he might be coming to asphalt this year. Kirk likes to change his mind a lot. I think the latest thing, he's not going to Smyrna, but I'd love to race against Jake. I remember going up, like I said, to the golf course, and he was 2 feet tall, and we had a blast. He's a really good kid.
And Jake's always been a wild man. That kid's a wild. I love talking to him. He's been 35 years old. You know, in an 11-year-old body for like 5 years now, man. He's a real cool kid to hang out with. Yep. We're getting ready for the APC Tour this year. Obviously, to draw the direct comparison between the APC Tour and the All-Star Tour, it's flattering from this side to you know, for Mr. Ramsey to build something and immediately have people compare it to the All-Star Tour. But for the Shaw family, it must sort of feel like deja vu all over again, sort of running the roads on that tour with your dad.
Yeah, I think we're a little more prepared than a lot of people are. I grew up with the All-Star Series. I remember going to Sauble for long weekends and spending 3 days, 2 days at the beach, and you go to the racetrack on the 3rd day. It'll be a lot of fun. I love traveling. I get frustrated sitting around on one racetrack all summer. I like the schedule. I like the amount of races. The only races that the 2 that I'm not looking forward to the most is Sunset, because we haven't had the greatest results there, at least me personally. I think we're going to go up there testing and kind of do our homework for those 2 races, because that's a big part of the schedule, of an 8-race schedule. But our experience with the All-Star Series, and we're going to have a lot of fun doing it, that's for sure.
I mean, in your opinion, are we going to get into a few events where it's going to be difficult just to make the show?
The first race at Sunset there, I wouldn't be surprised if we had at least 35 race cars. Like, we got to work on qualifying just to get into the race. Actually, me and Mr. Burbridge were working on trying to get the guys from the APC race last year provisionals to get into the first race, because we know it's going to be tough. That's going to be a hell of a field with Baker and Watson and stuff like that.
I mean, your dad had, how many All-Star championships does Jake have? 3?
I think it was 1.
Just 1?
I think it was 1.
he ran at the front for a lot of years. So yeah,
Three
three
autumn
autumn colors class. That's it. Well,
Yes.
my point is though that he's well versed at touring. He knows how to get the job done. Has he sort of tried to prepare you for what the grind is going to be like, sort of stepping out of the backyard and doing more racing away from home?
Well, this year we did the one race at Sabo, we did one race at Sunset, we did 3 at Delaware, we went to Peterborough 2 years ago, 2 race cars. So I'm kind of prepared for that. But yeah, we're ready in terms of we know what we're gonna have to change going race to race. We know when we go to Delaware what we have to do to tune this car up for there, or the gear we run at Sabo, or the little adjustments we're gonna have to make. So yeah, in essence, yeah, he's got me prepared, but it's a big learning curve. Like going to this tire, which I'm sitting on right now, is going to be very, very tricky. That's going to be a big learning curve because I think there's very few guys that have raced on that tire that are going to be in this series, so we got that upper hand too. But yeah, I think we're prepared more than a lot of teams are, in my opinion.
Now you're sitting on the wheel of this car that was built 100% by hand. You know, the Shaw family sort of came together with your uncle and your dad to put this car together. I mean, when you're able to win in something that you guys crafted yourself, is it that much more fulfilling than just going down to the speed shop and buying the latest design?
Yeah, that's for sure. Like I was telling Spencer, there'd be a pile of tubing sitting on the floor, and you'd come back in 2 days later, and then the chassis sitting here. But yeah, it is pretty cool. My dad, we do everything in house here. They even used to build their motors in here with my uncle Randy. Like everything is in house. We do our own thing, and that way we can turn stuff over. Like we can have a race car rebuilt on a Sunday, which is big for us, not having to wait on a company or something like that. So I think that prepares us even more for a touring series, being able to put our stuff back together ourselves and be ready the next day.
I mean, to look around this shop, I mean, I've been privileged enough to sort of go out on the road the last couple of years, and I've seen some absolutely gorgeous facilities. And but this is it's very humble. No, it's humble. It's right in the backyard of your house, and I mean, but everything you need is right here. You guys make pretty near everything you can. I mean, is that something that the team, you've been doing it for decades now, is this something that the team and the family still prides themselves on, that they're able to just do it all right here, right behind the house?
Well, there's a couple negatives to that. First of all, we had calls from the neighbors about noise violations and stuff like that because the neighbor's like right there. But yeah, no, my dad loves to be able to say he built that control arm right there, and I think that makes winning for him even more special. And yeah, my family's been doing it for as long as I can remember. Like we didn't go to some place to buy a control arm or buy this mount or stuff like that. He's put it together himself. So yeah, he takes a lot of pride in it.
I mean, I think a lot of these teams that you guys are racing against on this tour would be foolish to overlook the 83 and to not think that you're not going to be a factor at a lot of these tracks, because you've had a great run at Sunset, you've been fast at Delaware, you've won at Sable, you've won at Flamboro. I mean, you're going to be a threat to win everywhere. Peterborough, you've had some great runs at the Autumn Colors Classic. What would a championship mean to your team on this APC tour for the inaugural season?
Yeah, in essence, in terms of the team size and the budgets, we might be taking a knife to a gunfight. I don't know. There's a lot of big names out there, a lot of big teams. But I think, like we said, we're prepared, and to win a championship this year, first of all, was huge. I know the competition wasn't exactly up there with a lot of other racetracks, but I still take a lot of pride in that. But to win a championship with the competition we're going against this year would be unbelievable. Like, I know it's names and numbers and stuff like that, but when you get on the racetrack, we all got 4 tires, so we'll give her shit.
Now, I know that it's not possible to race without sponsors when you're hauling 45 minutes down the road, but now you're going to be driving all over Hell's Half Acre. You really need that backing, and you mentioned you actually signed some new sponsors and have some folks coming back. So let's hear who's making all this possible for Dale Shaw in 2015.
Yeah. One of our big projects this winter actually is we're redoing our trailer. Our trailer is well over 10 years old now, so that's the big project of Belly and Scott and Denise and my dad. They're working on it right now. But North Acton Consulting is one of our new sponsors. We've re-signed on Root Truss and Components, Waverdale Fleet Service, awesome company. We do a lot of work for them as well. We re-signed on Lucas Oil Products. We're gung-ho. This is going to be a fun year. I'm just excited because, like I said, I get frustrated sitting around one racetrack, and I'm pumped to go and travel. I hope we can do as many races as we can. We're going to run the Flamboro schedule. We're on APC. I want to go to Delaware. I enjoyed Full Throttle. We'll see what happens there. So One thing I do want to work on though is getting the beat the heat back up to 150 laps. We got to work on that.
Yeah, we got to work on that. I'm actually going to see Mr. Ramsey today, right now, after I'm done here. So we'll see what we can do with that. So running for a championship on the tour, running for a championship at Flamboro, then all the other different races sort of sprinkled in. How many dates is that going to be for the 83 car?
The minimum, it's kind of iffy because we get our Flamboro scheduled tomorrow, so I'll know for sure. But minimum 18 races, maximum, I think it's like 26 we could possibly attend. So I didn't do autumn colors last year. I'd like to go try and do it again. We had a hell of a run there 2 years ago. I think I had probably the best car there, so we'll see what happens. We've made a lot of changes to this car this winter. I think over half this chassis has been cut up and put back together to fit this new series. So it's going to be a busy schedule. We enjoy it, and me and my dad are here all week, and we're having fun, and we go racing on Saturdays.
And now that Peterborough's offering up that inside pole starting position for the Classic. So if you win the tour event at Peterborough in July, you start on the pole at the Classic. So if you win that event, you almost got to go, right?
And the Delaware one too, isn't it?
Outside pole, yeah. That's right. So yeah, you got 2 shots to start on the front row.
Hell yeah.
At 2 tracks that you do fairly well at. So if you win either one of those events, I'm assuming you'll be at the Classic for sure.
They're almost blackmailing you to go, I guess. But I enjoy colors. It's a fun weekend. You sit around, you drink beer all weekend, you do a little bit of racing in between, and yeah, it's fun. I'd love to win colors. My dad's won it 3 times now, and I'd like to put my name into that trophy too.
Now, I know you're an avid user of social media, which I love. I'm pretty big into it as well. Where can we find you on Twitter?
Okay, Twitter is DaleShaw83, and then we got Instagram, which is DaleShaw82. We got to get on that one too. Facebook, Shaw Motorsports Facebook page, look it up. You guys ever have any questions or want to talk to me? I love doing it just like Spencer, and I love getting people into racing. So if you guys have any questions about where we're racing this summer, I'm going to have a schedule up on all the social media up here soon. Once we get our schedule tomorrow, and we'll have a blast next year.
There you go, folks. One of the younger faces of the Pro Late Model division and one of the youngest stars on the APC United Late Model Series. Come out to the track this year. Watch this dude go to work because he's going to win a lot of races. I can feel it. Dale, it's always a pleasure talking with you, my man. Thanks for the hospitality and for having us out here.
Thanks, Spencer. Enjoy.
There you go, folks. Dale Shaw from the APC United Late Model Series.